can be live.
It is. I haven't spoken as like a regular resident in a while
All right, I'd like to bring the meeting to order, please. Okay, I would like to bring the meeting to order, please. Roll call. Amy Elliott. Mark Burley.
Yeah.
Michael Adams.
Yeah.
And I'm here, Rosemary Allison. Okay. Why don't we have you, Anita, do the Pledge of Allegiance with us? Emily? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's start with approval of the minutes of the meeting on October 12th.
Under where it says a regular agenda, see item 14, it says Mark Burley said he would send a high resolution of the existing PIC for a use to use. I'm not quite sure what that sentence should read. Israel, can you help me there? It's page 6 of this package we have here. Item 14.
Okay. And it's one of the bullet points.
It's bullet point number 3. Numbered. Said it said a high resolution of the existing PIC for a use to use.
Oh, you know what? That's of the logo.
That's of the logo.
You were going to send a high res.
I did that, but I'm just saying this sentence doesn't make any sense.
Oh.
I want to adjust the sentence to make sense.
Sure, I can adjust that for you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other changes, modifications?
I make a motion to accept the minutes with that change.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's go through the agenda review for this evening.
No changes.
Okay. All right, so let's go to consent items 10 through 12. This one, since we do have so many residents.
I move to accept those items.
Okay. Second?
A second?
Michael? All in favor?
Aye.
Since we do have so many residents here, I would like to tell you about the CHP Kids Toy Drive that is being kicked off. If you want to drop off unwrapped toys at the CHP Moore Park area office Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. They'll be doing their big drive-through drop-off event Friday, December 8th at Walgreens on Venture Park Road in Thousand Oaks. So that is a wonderful thing. Anyway, the kids. All right. Actually, Shop for a Cop is this evening. All right, for the with the Sheriff's Foundation. Okay, back to, now we are going to public comments. And we have quite a few here that would like to speak. I'm going to start with Ben Williams.
Are any of those public comments for a particular item?
There's nothing on here, it just says general public comments.
Okay.
Actually, we have someone presenting on, are you speaking about the roads?
No, I'm sure it's covered by others, so I.
Okay, all right.
Oh, just for us, we appreciate what law enforcement does, I mean, so much. We had another break-in in Santa Rosa, this time in Bridlewood yesterday. We'd love to see more of a police presence. We really don't see them much in Santa Rosa, so if we could get more of a presence, we'd really appreciate that. That's, I mean, we've had a number of these. We're very vigilant and doing our best, but it would help to have more of a presence. That's all.
Thank you. Okay. Lorraine Johnson.
Yes, my name's Lorraine Johnson, and I live at 9651 Santa Rosa Road. And my complaint is that for 23 years, I've been complaining to the county to please correct and take care of the water that's in front of my house. Right now, I have a reservoir with 40 ducks living in it. I've always complained. I'm sure everyone's seen all my ducks. This is the information that I have just this year of departments that I have been calling and talking to, and it falls on deaf ears. I don't know if most of the people are aware, but Santa Rosa Road from Hill Canyon Road to Yucca, they raised the road 5 feet, I would say probably 30, 35 years ago, and that's the problem. When they raised that road up to make it level, because there was a dip in it, they never made a drain in there to carry the water out. So I've been suffering with this. I have a farmer, unfortunately, he don't care. All his water and debris comes in my yard. I have to take care of his side. I have the homeowners association on the opposite side. If you look at their ditch, it's not cleaned out either. And then I have the county. Camarosa's dumping their water into my ditch, the farmer dumping their water, and then the county from as far away as Barber Street, they're also letting all that water come into my yard. And because the farmer does not clean out his ditch, I have the brunt of the water, and that's my new reservoir for the ducks. I don't know if there's anything you could do. I was just recently notified November 2nd by the Los Angeles Regional Water Control Board that they're gonna look into it. I did submit 28 pictures. I think 4 or 6 of them had to do with video so they could actually see the water running and the problems I've had. I have pictures here of my property getting flooded. The only thing I could do when this happens is call the fire department. And I know they're way too busy to be trying to unclog the drains. So if there's anything we could do, I would appreciate it. I don't know what else to do.
I have a question. Today on the road, I see the ducks, right? I noticed that there were a lot of public work trucks out there.
That's only in the last 3 days. Prior to that, you did not see them.
Oh, okay. So were they working on that at all? Or?
Yeah, they decided to finally clean out the ditch.
Got it.
And so the water could run out, and that's why you don't see as much water in there anymore. But prior to that, they didn't do it. They said they wouldn't do it because it was private property, and they can't spend public money on private property. Well, I pay taxes too. And I don't really know who to talk to. I've gone to the county physically, and I've been from one department to the other. All of them will admit they're all a little bit responsible for this, but no one wants to take the responsibility to get this corrected. From Barber Street on, I receive all their water. I even went to the building department, and above us, every time they issue a permit for new housing, nobody's questioning where that water's going to go when they empty their pools or they wash their cars. And I think somebody has to wake up. I cannot keep bringing dirt in and making my ditch banks higher and higher just to keep the water out.
Yeah, it's interesting because I live in Barber. So when people empty their pools, I'm like, where does all this water go to?
It's in my yard.
Okay.
And mosquito abatement people have been out there, I would say about 4 or 5 times this year. I keep calling them. They're coming out once a week because of the mosquitoes and the problems we're having.
Lorraine, we're only allowed to have 3 minutes.
Did I get my 3 minutes?
You've gotten past that. I'm sorry. But anyway, you know what? Tonight in attendance is someone from Public Works, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to speak to that person after the meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Peter Gillette.
Hello, I moved into 2201 Yucca Drive in May, and realized that the culvert next to the house is flooding, especially since the pseudo hurricane we had. And there's a fallen tree, there's another number of issues. I went down, I'm the one that initiated the call to Public Works, and they did respond. We're having flooding all the way to Yucca Drive, and we have a culvert that's not been cleaned for I don't know how long. And there's a fallen tree, large tree fallen, and so I initiated this. They did respond and come out and clean down by Hill Canyon, which you may have seen. Duck Pond's pretty much half gone now, and so there's an issue there. And we know this is El Nino year, and we don't want to get flooding. I have a 220-foot, 7-foot high slumpstone wall that is starting to lean because the water is starting to soften the walls. That's because of lack of maintenance. I'm going to turn to the county and say, hey, do you owe me a wall? I don't want to go there. I just want to get the problem resolved. I don't know what the downstream issues are, but I do know that that water is backing up the Yucca Drive right now. And I know we're in El Nino. I'd like to see that being taken care of, the fallen trees, you know, the maintenance of those issues need to be addressed. And we don't want to have an issue with the wall, we don't want to have an issue with the water. And we're just trying to be good, responsible people like I know Ms. Mack would support. So that's what we're likely to do. We'd like to speak to Public Works. The typical comment that I've been getting is it's above my pay grade, you know, go to somebody else, and then I don't get phone calls back. I did call Anita today, and she called me back, and so hopefully we can move forward and get this thing resolved and done.
Anita is right there.
Yes.
So,
So I appreciate it, and we will have a conversation, and hopefully we get that all worked out.
perfect.
My wife also said, Andalusia Drive, there's a tree that everybody knows about that you can't see the light when you're coming down. Maybe Public Works or whoever handles the trees can trim some of those branches so we can see the lights, because I know there's a lot of people who stop suddenly when they see the red turn light instead of the green light. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Andalusia, as you go west on Andalusia, there's a tree that's hanging over in front of the lights, and you can't tell if it's red or green because you can only see the left turn lane light. And I'm sure most people who've driven past it.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Bob Winston.
Just two little comments. A couple Sundays ago, it may have been addressed already, a couple Sundays ago, the right turn lane coming down Wall Park Road, turning onto Santa Rosa, the arrow was lit as in you couldn't turn right at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning. So it may have been addressed already. Like I said, the power outage may have caused something, I don't know, but I've never seen it that time of morning, no turn on right, or no right turn on red. The other thing is, in the past, we've gotten CHP police to come visit us here at the MAC and tell us what's going on. I haven't seen that. Is that in the works? Is that not something we do, or?
We had something last year at the,
No, I know, but came to the physical meeting every time and told us about what accidents. I know they're here now, but is that going to be a recurring thing again?
you know, actually in our agenda, it was part of the consent agenda, but we can, get an update, okay?
Well, it's just helpful to know robberies or accidents or
Right.
whatever it was in the past.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
So, Casey, do you, are you good, this agenda package in the back there?
I have it on.
It has the reports from, I recall, and I believe the sheriff. We are attempting to streamline the meetings by moving forward.
Yeah, but you can read the information.
Yeah.
Steve Totten.
My name is Steve Taunton. I live on Redondo Avenue, and I'm here to complain about the road paving work. What they've done is they've actually increased the road 1.5 inches. And so if you're a bicyclist and you hit the manhole cover, I think you're gonna go flying. I've also noticed that when I try and get my Corvette in and out, I scrape all the time because the road's higher. My motorhome does the same thing. It starts grating on the my concrete driveway. I have pictures of the road with bumps. When they went ahead and paved it to the sidewalk, not the sidewalk, the curb, it just goes over the curb, and it's not neat or anything, and it's a trip hazard. I've got nothing good to say about the road paving.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
At that, we're gonna go ahead and, bring in, into our regular agenda, the comments. We've gone through the comments from.
Now?
Now.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the MAC. Good evening, everyone. We did, just to clarify, we did try to streamline all the MAC meetings, not just this one, and ask our stakeholders like CHP, Sheriff, Fire, to include written updates that are included in the agenda, unless there was something critical or here. The reason is they'll bill back to the Municipal Advisory Committee, and it's after hours, and we end up paying for them to be here. And if there's not a very specific thing that they need, not necessarily CHP, but the county employees, certainly we do. If there's a critical issue or something you want to know about, you don't see in the updates that are provided monthly, then we can ask them to be here. We just want to make sure we save that for the times we really need them to be here. A couple of other quick updates. This is the last MAC meeting of the year. So the team and I, in coordination with the MAC chair, put together kind of a list of accomplishments that we've left up front. This is a list of both Santa Rosa Valley accomplishments, but then overall for the 2nd District here for Ventura County. I'm not going to read these or go over these, but you're welcome to take a look at this and see which items here are relevant to you and your families. The items I did want to talk about are that we've been the focus of global attention in the 2nd District here since our last MAC meeting. The first event was the identification for the first time in all of North America of the Queensland fruit fly, a pest that decimated fruit and agriculture in Australia, was found for the first time ever in North Africa, and it was in the 2nd District here. And what Corinne Bell, our newly appointed, had the honor of helping select and unanimously appoint Corinne Bell as our new mentor. She's here to talk a little bit about the developments and the process working with the California Department of Food and Agriculture. So we are right now, as we speak, the Santa Rosa Valley is in beyond the original quarantine zone, which was just Thousand Oaks and surrounding areas. So now it's down here. We can talk a little bit about what that means and a little bit about what we need to do as a community. These pests were found not in major, at least not initially, they weren't found in like a major agricultural operation. They weren't found in Limonera, they were found in someone's backyard. So the most pivotal player in helping us identify and eradicate this disease before it spreads, this vector rather before it spreads, the most important player is frankly not government, it's residents, keeping an eye out, flagging issues, alerting folks, cooperating, collaborating, letting CDFA staff in their backyard to put traps out or to examine trees, not just fruit trees, but all trees. So we are here in the 2nd District, the focal point of the entire nation to identify what we're doing and how well we're doing it to make sure that this with the events in Gaza and Israel, there have been protests on corners of just about every community in the nation, maybe world, probably world. But the first death among that happened in the 2nd District here. So it was a very tragic, heartbreaking event that transpired to the death of Paul Kessler. And we mourned his loss, and the most important thing that I've been doing, working with the sheriff and the district attorney and the imam and the local and the local rabbis, is to do 3 things really: call for peace in the community, denounce all violence or any kind of violence that could escalate as a result of this, and last but not least, and most importantly today, is to trust the process. Trust the process, because there is an investigation. The investigation has led to an arrest. There will be due diligence. There will be due process. There will be fairness, and there will be hopefully ultimately outcome with justice. So I just ask that people trust the process, and our local elected sheriff and our local elected district attorney and our key folks to handle this in the right way, because that kind of an event can make things escalate, obviously, and very passionate issue. I'm proud to say that we've got a great turnout tonight. It's our 2nd Municipal Advisory Council meeting, where my office has had the opportunity to purchase, using my office budget, not general county budget, but my office budget, the equipment necessary for us to do this and speak into this microphone, and folks at home hear us live. So we're doing everything we can within the confines of financial capability and otherwise technical capability to try to make sure that people in Santa Rosa Valley know what's going on, at least through these MAC meetings. So with that, thank you. I'll turn it back over to the chair, and appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Supervisor Ralph. Okay, now, council comments on items that you deem appropriate.
Well, I'm part of the, or I've been attending some workshops for the active transportation plan for the county. And what this involves, the county hired a consulting agency called Alta to go through the entire county and see where can we improve pedestrian safety, bicycle safety, and make it easier for people to get out and either commute or just enjoy getting into the outdoors. And they did I felt a very thorough job on this, and I think that some people here in our community will be very happy to hear that I did make some comments about that we have a lot of cyclists that come through Santa Rosa Valley, and that was taken into consideration. I don't want to take credit for that, they were a very thorough group, but I am happy to report that they are going to put in what is called a buffered bike lane completely through Santa Rosa Valley on Santa Rosa Road. So what does that entail? So right now we have there will be a striped area that is kind of a no-go zone for cars, that gives the bicyclists coming through on Santa Rosa Road some additional comfort that they're safe to cycle there without getting hit by a car. And so that will go all the way from Camarillo all the way up to Moore Park Road, and then they're also going to do the same thing on Moore Park Road, because that's also a heavily traveled area for bicyclists. So the plan is still in its final stages. It is estimated to go to the county supervisors in February for approval. We're going to have one more workshop in January just to look it over one final time, and then it will go to the county supervisors for approval. But I think we'll have a lot of happy cyclists that enjoy Santa Rosa Valley, as well as the residents, that they'll have that just an extra margin of safety cycling through the area. That's all I've got.
I'd just like to follow up a little bit on the fact that it seems like we are not getting full drainage worked out in the Santa Rosa Valley. We had a couple of issues that have been brought up tonight, and it's not that complicated to do, but Public Works needs to get out there and make sure that the drainage is working as designed and that we don't have areas where water is pooling, I guess is the word. We had it on, at one point, we had it on East Las Posas, if you remember, and they fixed it.
Yes.
Apparently now the problems are further down, a little bit further west, and I would ask that the supervisor's office follows up with Public Works to make sure that those issues get fixed. Thank you.
Amy?
Well, really my comments are on pesticides, of course, 100%, not just the Queensland, I know that's top of the thing, but I do, and we're not there yet, but I do want to talk about the pesticides that are used in the valley on a separate.
That would be when it comes up.
Yep.
Okay, I would also like to make mention, we have two gentlemen in the back. A few people have been mentioning how there's more 3-axle and large commercial vehicles going down Santa Rosa Road. And we have two gentlemen in the back who are so wonderful to, number one, come here this evening, and number two, have been vigilant. Do you want to say a couple words?
Yes, absolutely. Will be a phone or the microphone?
That microphone would be fine.
Okay, I'm Sergeant Orr. I'm from the commercial unit up at the Talking Scales. Our main facility is that facility up there at the top of the grade. You have a northbound side and a southbound side. We're under construction right now. You'll notice that the northbound side is actually closed. But we also handle the 118, if you know where those truck facilities are on a 118. Currently we have one of those is closed as well, so we're only actually manning what we call the westbound pit scale. So we have a couple extra guys that we have out and about that are not working those areas. So we've put them into units and put them out in the county, so they're working in different parts of the county. We did about 2 months ago, I think there was some stuff brought up that you guys were noticing a lot of truck traffic, wanted some extra enforcement, so we sent about 2 to 3 units over a couple week period and just kind of spent some time out there. They were able to get a few trucks. It wasn't as heavy as we thought it was going to be. But then Officer Slippy here behind me, he's with the commercial unit through our division. He's called an MRE, which is a mobile road enforcement. And what he does is he works throughout the county on top of what we're doing up there for the trucks. He did go out, I'll let him talk a little bit about today, but another unit that we have is Officer Espinoza, which you guys may have seen at one of your meetings before. She's another MRE, and she actually works out of the Moore Park office. And she actually works Santa Rosa almost on a weekly basis, at least 1 day a week if she gets the opportunity. And that's about it for me. I'll let Jason talk about it.
Sir Jason Sluppy. I work with our Coastal Division Commercial Unit. Officer Lydia and I are both assigned out of San Luis Obispo, and we use the local offices as like a home base per se. We are to take care of and enforce commercial vehicles over 10,000 pounds, more so than a fixed. Our trucks are our office, and we spend our time in Ventura County. I'm a little bit more on the west side of Ventura County, Oxnard, Ventura, Camarillo area. Lydia is more responsible for the Simi Valley, Moore Park, Santa Rosa area. I know I'm spends a couple hours, probably 4 to 6 hours a week on Santa Rosa Road, not only doing traffic enforcement, but also doing vehicle inspections for the vehicles that are allowed to be on Santa Rosa. I spent approximately 2.5, almost 3 hours on Santa Rosa this afternoon, and during that time I was legally traveling on Santa Rosa, making a local delivery to one of the residents. Congratulations, somebody got a new Tesla tonight. Otherwise, I did stop at 3 accidents on Santa Rosa unlawfully coming from Simi Valley to Oxnard, and he just informed me he missed the 118, so he took Simi Valley. So I took appropriate enforcement actions on him this evening. Other than that, we're always available. You can contact Officer Lydia by contacting the Moore Park CHP office. You can leave her a message because she's not there most times, but you leave her a message and she should get back to you. Or you can contact the Ventura CHP office at any time and ask for Sleppy. Leave me a message and I will get back to you. Lydia and I both handle all the commercial traffic complaints. Today I was spread a little thin, but I did try to get a couple hours out there.
Thank you so much for not only coming here this evening, but also taking away from your evening with your family.
You guys have questions, he brings them up, he emails us, he does a great job.
And you guys are awesome, so.
We get back up to him as best we can, so if you guys have questions, please ask.
Okay. All right, so,
And thank you for having us here. My name is Anita Balin and I'm the Director for the Roads and Transportation. Supervisor Burrell, thank you, and Israel, thank you for inviting us and giving us an opportunity to kind of talk about it and address the many, many complaints that we have received. You know, we acknowledge that there were some issues with the paving project. I also have G.L. Franco Lowry here. He's a traffic engineer for the county, and also he's an engineering for doing the design and construction project. So he's going to do the talking points on what specifically going to talk about 3 main topics. Really, I mean, I know we haven't included drainage, but we will talk about that, you know, after the meeting, perhaps. So today we're mainly concentrating on 3 things: the paving project, the Santa Rosa bike lane. I know that, you know, Michael brought that up. We have an active transportation plan, and I welcome everybody to attend the next, you know, community meeting that we have. It's for one small portion of bike lane in Santa Rosa Road, and also the signal synchronization of the traffic signals on Santa Rosa Road, and you know, the upgrades we have done and what we're planning to do next. So with that, I'll let Jim Franco come on. Thank you.
Franco Lowry, and I hate to have my back behind everyone. We've switched this around, yeah. Down in here.
Good job. That's nice work.
Yeah, I have some notes. I want to make sure I captured everything in my presentation this evening. It's of 12.37 centerline miles. This does not include Santa Rosa Road centerline miles. The map before you shows periodically in various years, spanning from 2003 up until 2016. Santa Rosa Valley roads were last inspected in 2019 with a weighted average pavement condition 76. Next slide, please. Public Works uses Street Saver. It's a pavement management program, and it has been used over. The program is primarily used to inventory pavement assets, perform condition assessments, and track maintenance and rehabilitation treatments completed for all streets maintained by the county. 200 as good pavement. Overall, the county is proud. We, in the unincorporated area, our county road network is PCI of 77 rejuvenation measures, which can be cost effective. The recommended surface treatments for Santa Rosa Valley were Class 2 and Class 3. Class 2 is a type 2 slurry, Cape Seal, which is an asphalt rubber aggregate membrane, ARAM, and a type 2 slurry seal on top. Treatment. We also have a scrub seal. Class 3, which has the same 2 treatments, but it also has the asphalt rubber hot mix, which is a surface treatment used for loaded related rehabilitations. Since Santa Rosa roads are low traffic volumes And the last surface treatment, the ARHM overlay was not warranted. Next slide, please. PWA's final design treatment selected for Santa Rosa Valley roads were a Cape seal and a Type 2 slurry seal. Now, ARAM, as I quickly touched about, is a material consisting of recycled rubber. ARAM is the first coat of a multi-layered treatment called Cape seal. A Cape seal is a pavement treatment, consists of chip seal and the slurry on top. Cape seal was determined for roads with a higher need of treatment than just using a simple slurry seal. And the expected lifespan for Cape seal is anywhere from 7 to 10 years. Type 2 slurry is a thin maintenance treatment which uses various mixtures such as asphalt emulsion, graded aggregates, minor fillers, water, and additives. When placed on pavement surfaces, the mixture breaks and cures, creating a new wearing surface. 5 to 7 years. Now, both treatments, the Cape seal and the Type 2 slurry seal, for new street surfaces may be different from old street surfaces due to. Here are a few pictures of the finished product on some roads. In addition to repaving the roads, we also trimmed minor brush and trees that were along the roadside. We replaced asphalt concrete curb. We applied a curb seal over the curb, and then we did final thermoplastic striping, and we painted stop legends.
I'm sorry, do you know what road that is? The finished road?
Pictures 2 and 3 should either be Las Posas or Priscilla.
They look like Priscilla.
We've received several concerns from residents in Santa Rosa Valley about our finished pavement surface. Primarily concerns are categorized in 3 areas: loose rock, rough surface, and seal coat overspray. Talk a little bit about the loose rock on the pavement surface. I mostly noticed that along knuckles and cul-de-sacs for particular roads. This could be caused by hard turns from heavy equipment such as Amazon trucks, trash trucks, particularly along the wheel paths. The contractor did sweep the road. However, PWA will monitor for the next 30 days and schedule street sweeping accordingly. Now, the rough surface is from the Type 2 slurry seal. The type of treatment is generally coarse than the ARHM overlay, the asphalt rubber hot mix overlay, which was not warranted for the Santa Rosa Valley roads. The rough surface will get better after traffic is on the road and whether asphalt mixture continues cement in place. This does meet state specifications, which we use the Green Book, and local specs, which Ventura County Public Works has their own special provisions for Type 2 slurry seal, and it is what it is what expected for this type of treatment. Now, a little bit about the seal coat overspray, as you see in picture 4. This was a contractor flaw. Now, our design plans did include a detail which showed a protection shield behind the AC dike, which is to avoid overspray onto private property. I know decorative driveways, decorative walkways may have been affected. We've identified those areas, or maybe about a dozen of them. The contractor went out last week and he steam cleaned, and I think he applied some other removal measures and did remove some of the overspray. I understand that there are maybe about 8 properties that still are affected, which the contractor could not clean. So as an option for the property owners, it could be filing a claim directly to the contractor. And if you're interested in that route, please see me and I can provide information on how to do so. Next slide, please. Now that's one of 3 projects.
Can we go back for a moment?
Yes, absolutely.
So you're telling us picture number 2 is an accepted criteria for this job.
Correct. So
That is what you're telling us.
So we hired, as part of any contract, paving contract particularly, we hire a material testing company and a contractor inspector on the project. And in the material testing part of it, there's certain gradients of rock and material that they use based on state standards for that type of treatment. And the material testing company, which is a third party that we hire, all the tests passed.
Well, like going back to picture number 1.
Yes.
Loose rock.
Yes.
That is not acceptable.
So loose rock, again, typically when type 2 slurry is installed, particularly when you're exiting a driveway, for example, if you backed in, you're coming out, you do a 3-point turn, that wheel path on the turn, when a car is in
Right.
stop position, will remove some of that rock.
Right.
Along with heavy trucks, as I mentioned, Amazon trucks, trash trucks, when they go around curves, when they go around cul-de-sacs, that extra weight does begin to loosen the rock a little bit.
Because I noticed, driving on Chestnut, which is off of Priscilla, I hit a lot of loose rock like that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to me that's better than the way it was before.
Right. So the way it was before could have been treated with a different type of measure. Back in 2003 and 2016, I believe, to do that span frame, there were different measures applied. I don't believe any of those measures were type 2 at the time. They could have been the asphalt rubber hot mix overlay, just because that may have been the first time those roads were actually repaved in the Santa Rosa Valley area. So it could have required that type of rehabilitation. The PCI could have been a lot lower during that time. Assessment in 2019, the PCI, the weighted PCI for all those roads that we were going to resurface was 77, and our 2 recommendations, the class 2 and the class 3, and that was the type 2 slurry seal and the Cape seal, which is just a little bit.
Well, there's like
an
5
extra
streets that got the
measure.
Cape seal.
Yeah, there's a few streets that got the
Right.
Cape seal, which is the multi-layer system that I was describing.
Right. See, and unfortunately, I think that we all thought with the repavement that all the streets were getting that other, because
The asphalt
honestly,
over hot mix overlay.
I mean, I've got pictures from residents of their cars with the black. I mean, honestly, I don't understand, and obviously you guys know more than I do, you are the professionals, but I don't see how that was an improvement.
I have a question. My big question is,
Yes.
why should residents have to go after the contractor that was hired by Ventura County to get their property fixed? It doesn't seem fair.
So the contract has a number of working days associated to it, where when they put their bid in.
Yeah,
And
but why do the residents have to? And we have no clue, right?
Right.
Nobody's telling us.
I understand that. And working with our risk management department within the county, whenever after a capital project, if there is a claim, procedure is risk management provides Roads and Transportation with the claim. We provide it to the resident. Then from that point, risk management is the point of contact. They work directly with the contractor's insurance company and make sure that everything is done.
So
Everything
you
is done.
overspray.
So you and I have spoken a few times, and you were great, okay? Like, I stopped him, all right? And you were great. You got right back to me. But you and I had a conversation, and to be honest, I don't want to hijack anything here, but the communication as to what exactly was going to go on the streets, when they were coming back, it wasn't so great. And you admitted that,
Yeah.
right? But for me right now, the big thing is the people, the 8 to how many, have to go and make a claim to the contractor. I don't think that's fair.
Okay.
Well, So we're talking about overspray in that situation, only on overspray.
Yeah, that
But
particular.
it's still your
item.
contractor,
So
right?
if I could add to it, the contractor has tried to clean it, and at this point, he's tried different methods, whether it's, jetting, different methods, and he's unable to do it. He cannot remove it, because without actually damaging the rock or the decorative improvement.
But that's your contractor, right?
Right, so I'm just saying, it's impossible to clean it, so at some point, we may have to accept, and then what can you claim to the damage? So that's why when we're saying you can claim some damage, potentially, I don't know what the value of that is.
So I'll give you a good example. My next door neighbor saw them coming, right?
Mark Winters.
Yeah, 100%. And put a whole bunch of blue painting
Painted
tape,
tape.
right? Because he has that fancy
Epoxy.
right. And they got it on his driveway. They came by when they were cleaning up, took the tape off, obviously saw that they got stuff all over the driveway, and just left.
No, I understand, and I appreciate that call, because as soon as you notified me, I spoke with Mr. Winters, I think the very next day, and then the contractor came out twice, and I think on his second time, he did remove all that over seal coat, and to the satisfaction of Mr. Winters, and I haven't heard anything since, along with the other resident that lived a few doors down to the left.
They cleaned
with
my
the
driveway.
brick driveway.
They cleaned it.
Yeah, so I mean, again, the concerns that we've received, particularly the overspray, I was on the contractor. I, given the opportunity to clean it, and with Anita saying, there's only so much they can clean without
See,
getting
my
into
issue,
the underlying
honestly, the
material.
overspray, I understand what happened.
Mhm.
What I'm more concerned with is what we understood we were getting with repavement in comparison to the methods that you used, that honestly is kicking up loose rock and causing problems to cars. They're getting pitted. So, it is an issue.
Right, so to jump on that.
But that, according to you, is an acceptable, grade.
So it is expected that there will be some loose rock with this type of treatment. So in our contract, we have that they need to sweep, okay, continuously. So what we're saying is that he has done his sweeping, and we're going to still, the contractor will probably be gone in the next, few weeks. But Public Works will continue to monitor this, because we hear your concern that, the rock is kicking up. So we will continue to monitor it, and then, we are, if there is a need to, we will go and sweep it. We'll hire somebody outside of the contract to make sure that it is swept. Because as part of the contract, he swept it and then he closes out the leaves. But we as an agency that's, want to do the right thing, we will continue to monitor, at least once a month, that's the plan right now. And then, if it needs to be swept, we will sweep it.
Yeah, that would ruin the cars. Okay, now you're going to sweep it after all the rocks and take all the cars. So you're gonna just keep doing this for how many years?
Well, it should stop at some point, so I don't think it's going to be,
So
and
then you trust them?
that's the reason why I'm saying we're gonna monitor this. We have done this treatment in several other locations, this is not the first time we have done this. But the other point is that the expectation was that it would be I think the residents' expectation may have been that it's a standard overlay.
Yes.
That we would normally do, like, 10, 15 years ago, that's the only treatment we did.
Right.
With technology and new products coming up, there are other things that we can do,
But maybe let the residents know. I think it'd be a lot
I
easier
think-
for
I think
you
what I-
too, if everybody knew that this is not gonna be what you think it's gonna
And
be.
that's
Yeah.
on us.
Yeah.
We should have been a little bit more proactive on telling the residents that, hey, this is the treatment you're getting, it's not going to be as smooth finish as, the previous treatments that we have received. So, that's a lesson learned for us.
Okay, now you wanna go to bike lanes, right?
Well, actually, I've got.
No, yeah, I can answer your question.
I have a comment about the loose rock. I have a car that will pull up loose rock all over the place, and I am surprised at this finish. I watched them put the finishes on, and the top coat was a slurry coat. I'm a little surprised there's that much loose rock, though. It's almost like there needs to be another coating of slurry coat to hold that rock down. And it's pervasive through, you know, in all the areas where you did the multi-layer treatment, that I'm noticing that. And you know, for me to get out of Santa Rosa Valley, I have to drive at about 20 miles per hour so that I don't damage my car. That's the problem. And I don't want to be doing that for the next 5 years, 10 years.
Absolutely, and you know, we will monitor the rock, we will sweep, and we will assess. And you know, that's what we can do right now for a common type of treatment. That type 2 slurry is very common for residential roads.
May I ask one other question?
Yes.
Are you intending to ever use this contractor again in other parts of the county?
I am not too familiar with the contractor. I don't believe it was one of our go-tos that we usually get for large paving projects that we do. For example, on Lockwood Valley Road, we've done 10 miles.
I mean, sorry, right there, that comment is really concerning. We're not really familiar with this contractor.
If I could add to it, I mean, our public contracts are based on low bids.
Low bids, exactly.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, that's
Which
what-
bylaw you have to take.
You have to take, so you know.
And I don't think these people know that.
Yeah, so
But,
that-
and my understanding also is that your inspectors are also not, and correct me if I'm wrong, you actually hire inspectors to inspect the contractors, is that correct?
We do, it's a third
Okay.
party. And
So everything is done by somebody else?
yeah.
Right, okay, just wanna make sure I'm clear on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I apologize for hesitating a little bit about
You
the
know what?
contractor.
I would like to make, you alluded to it, can you explain about the low, or if you want to?
Oh, the low bid?
Low bid.
Yeah, so the public contract code requires that for these projects, that it is a closed bid, you know, the contractors bid on it, and we have to accept the lowest responsible bid. So by responsible, it means like, you know, he can't be a contractor that was debarred or, you know, have any issues, so we check that out. So, but as long as it's a responsible, there's another word too.
It's responsive and responsible.
Responsible low bid. So we're required to accept that.
Meaning responses is that in their bid document, they attach all the bonds, they attach their subcontractors, prevailing wages, certified payroll. There's just a state standard list for responsive, and then responsible is when we do reference checks.
So if they write the low bid again, they will get the job again. Right.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah.
How responsible are these contractors in case you have an issue and instead of having the pavement lasting 5 to 7 years, you know, it falls apart in 3 years? Do they come back and do something different, or you have to go, I mean, what's your experience with these contractors to be able to, fix something like this?
So in contracts that we typically have a bond with the contractor at the end of the project for up to a year. It's a maintenance and warranty bond, so we can hold that.
It's just 1 year.
That is just 1 year of the 5 to 7. Maintenance then, because it's a county road, it would fall back on our operation and maintenance team to look at. And just wanted to let you know that design construction is a new section that I'm overseeing, so I hesitate a little bit about the contractor being a normal contractor. It's just a name or company that didn't ring a bell compared to corridor rehabilitation projects.
I would say it's straight, so the street is at the same level. Now the street's higher. And now you have like that much of a space between manhole covers, and if you're going over a bicycle, I'm just looking at it, it's a liability to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, typically with the Cape Seal, because it has that A-ram and then the slurry on top, it'll increase the road.
And that liability is okay with the county?
So it is typically less than an inch, I believe, with the ARAM.
I'll show you
And
pictures
the
where it's
slurry.
over an inch. If you want pictures, I'll show them to you.
And then if there are any manhole covers that need to be adjusted, we can still have that adjusted. That's on the utility companies are responsible for adjusting the manhole covers. So we can do that even outside of this project. So it's not
When
a
I send
contract.
pictures into Rosemary, it is not a Redondo Avenue, it's like that deep.
Yeah, I forwarded it.
We'll take a look at
Yeah,
that.
that was on Redondo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
we can look at
If it's
that.
a utility cover, we can definitely have the utility company raise it. That's what we do for our normal, overlay projects where we put an inch and a half overlay. We have the utility company raise it, so. It could be a storm drain cover, so
Yeah, survey monuments.
So the
Yeah.
monuments could be.
Since we never reduce rocks, can we expedite street sweeping? We just go ahead and get it from the county out there and clean up the streets that have too many rocks.
But I think the problem is, I think it's the contractors, am I correct? The contractors,
Right now, it's good.
so the
So-
contractor's responsible for that, right?
But
There's
the
the
county
problem.
does it anyway, right? And
No,
you have-
no, we don't. What is
It's the
specifically
contractor.
coming from us?
Right.
We do not have a street sweep
It's all
assessment
part of it.
district.
County doesn't have that.
It's all part of the contract.
So what, how long do we have to expect that there's gonna?
Yeah, I mean, we will monitor.
We will continue to monitor. I don't have a good answer for that, even though we've done enough treatment.
In other words, drive over it a million times. Okay, we need to go to the next, okay. We need to go to the next portion of this.
Yeah.
So, if that is, we can get back in next.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can
I'm sorry.
speak up.
Sorry to hijack you.
No, it's okay. Not at all.
Also, if you have some of the concerns, you can go ahead and email me. I work closely with Public Works and with the Mac here, so, okay. Or you can see me a little later.
Right, Santa Rosa Road bike lanes. Speak about that a little bit. It is part of our active transportation plan that we looked at all unincorporated areas where we can enhance pet bike transit. And that study will go to the Board of Supervisors sometime next year. However, in parallel, we do have a design project that will do just what the study would recommend us to do, which is extending the bicycle facility from Yucca to Moore Park Road. Currently, as shown the map, it's okay. We have existing bike lanes which occupy the paved shoulder for a portion of Santa Rosa, Moore Park, and the westerly part of Tierra Hada. As you can see, this provides a regional bike route for bikes coming from Simi Valley, Moore Park, Thousand Oaks, and Camarillo. Next slide.
You know what? When you're working on this bike lane, to keep it from, I don't know, are those areas where there's some flooding? I'm wondering if that would possibly, at that point, you need to fix some of that stuff or enhance those areas that are gonna be bike lanes?
I think a lot of the floodings, I don't know how far the earthen or concrete ditches relative to the end of the pavement doesn't. Well, part of the design, we will take a look at that.
Great, that may be a side way to get it.
Now before you, the current road configuration for Santa Rosa between Yucca to Moore Park is generally 2 traffic lanes. In some sections, you do have a center turn lane, pavement shoulders, and rumble strips. The proposed road configuration for Santa Rosa bike lane will be the same, offering 2 traffic lanes, a center turn lane, a new 6-foot wide dedicated bike lane, and a 2-foot buffer, which makes this, as Michael mentioned, a buffered bike lane, and rumble strips.
Like it.
These are, there are also, sorry, if you can go back. There also will be minor pavement widening within the road right-of-way, and a small section of sidewalk on the south side of Santa Rosa from, I believe here, Technology Magnet School to Andalusia Drive. Next slide. Here's a typical layout of how the bike lane would look at an intersection. So you can see approaching.
Could you clarify which Andalusia Drive?
Yeah, there's 2 Andalusias.
That sidewalk is going to, please?
I believe the amount of sidewalk is about 900 linear.
No,
Is it going
there's
to
Andalusia
Andalusia
that way,
East
and
or
there's
Andalusia West?
I don't know the orientation of the
Yeah.
sidewalk at the moment. No.
Okay.
Typical intersections here, layouts of the intersection that shows bike lanes. we account for right turn lanes, we account for what we call conflict zone, where bike and car merge. That's why it's dashed and we no longer continue on bike lanes. We also show on the plan bike detectors, which would be good because now it'll detect bikes in the bike lane as opposed to just cars when you're over the magnetic loop on the ground. There's also a typical layout of how the bike lane would look along the corridor. Last day resolution to authorize a levy of the assessments starting fiscal year 06-07 and future years. The 4 new traffic signals and synchronization of all 8 now traffic signals at the time was estimated a little under $1 million. The county contributed 28% of the cost, and the 72% was levied from the assessment district in annual assessments up to fiscal year 16-17. Additionally, 2 subsequent fiscal years for 17-18, whole system replacement fund totaling $200,000 was budgeted to replace controllers, battery backup systems, a central management software for which the district. All traffic mitigation and safety improvements were completed in March of 2009, including the no right turn on red digital display, which I heard was evaluated, and it's part of the signal synchronization project, and it provides platoon brakes for side street access onto. Okay, sorry. Forward a few years, we now have 8 traffic signals synchronized at 45 miles per hour. We did hire state mandated some signal timing parameters that we needed to abide by. So in 2018, we had Kimley Horn to fall back in the 09 optimized corridor with just making the subtle changes that the state required. More gaps on Santa Rosa Road. It provided less queues on side streets. It assessment district fund balance along with road fund will contribute to the state grant, which will add a cloud-based central management system and an upgraded interconnect. We're going to do Ethernet over copper, which is high-speed data. These enhancements weren't part of the state grant application, so that's why we're leveraging the assessment district and county road funds. Last slide. Now here's an illustration of the upcoming signal upgrades. These improvements will preserve side street access and is not expected to generate more traffic on Santa Rosa Road. A little bit about the yellow backplates. You see them primarily off the interstate freeways, the on and off ramps. They're bright yellow. They are a really good enhancement. The advanced traffic controller is just state of the art. Currently our controllers are a little outdated, so it will provide us flexibility to do Bluetooth monitoring and add some features to the controller cabinet. The video detection, and I just want to make this clear, what you see over on top of the safety light, it is a camera. It's not a surveillance camera. We don't use surveillance. It's a video detection camera. It replaces the loops on the ground to just video detection. And that is going to be used as part of the advanced dilemma zone detection, which we're adding, which will subtly change the green time to be able to provide that car to cross the intersection safely. It would extend it, or it would cut it short so that it stops at the stop bar. Along with the high friction surface treatment, that's just a rubber grip that we've been applying on roads just to prevent any skidding or any slipping. So that's part of the contract. And the cloud-based management system, that just brings us up to speed. We'll be able to monitor, operate, function, traffic signal timing on the fly from the government center instead of going to the intersection, plugging it in and making changes. And the last thing we're working on too, along with all these great signal upgrade improvements for Santa Rosa Road, is an adaptive corridor study. So we've identified 5 corridors. Santa Rosa is one of them, Canaan's, I think Wainini, that we are going to evaluate and see how adaptive controllers, now that we'll have the infrastructure, how will it work? Will it be better than what is there today, because the signal timing and the timing is no longer set? For example, start at 7, end at 9. It'll change all the time depending on the amount of traffic that comes to the intersection. I think that's it. Last questions for the last slide. I know that was a lot, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure.
I have a question, just real quick.
Yeah.
What is the best way for people the easy way to get in touch with people, their concerns or comments, or like, what does this mean? What do you suggest?
Israel,
I
doesn't
just-
show it.
Yeah, I just passed out everyone has I just passed it out.
Yeah, thank
The
you.
flyer, thank you guys, hold them up. What that does, it opens up a ticket right away with Public Works. You also, in addition, like I said, there's my email, you can always get a hold of me, we work very closely. Jim Ryder and Anita have always been very responsive with us, but that is one of the best ways to do it. You can download it, you can go to the front, it says go to either the App Store or the Google Store, download it on your phone, and so.
I'd encourage everybody to use it. It's, it's visible to everybody, and there is accountability for us and for, our staff that, we address these concerns. So, thank you.
Can you give us any update on the study of having flashing yellow light to turn to the left?
Yeah. So before we evaluate the flashing yellow arrow, we'd like to see all these improvements that we have operating, functioning, such as the new signal controllers, the Ethernet over copper, the adaptive corridor study, and the findings from that study to see if really flashing yellow arrows would be appropriate after all that's been installed beforehand.
Thank you.
I have a question. Will your system be able to detect people from side roads making a right turn versus a left turn, maybe based on turn signal flashing? And the reason I ask that is I run into this all the time. I'm coming down Santa Rosa Road, and somebody is at the intersection, they're just kind of waiting for a break in traffic, and then both directions of traffic have to stop for this one person that's making a right turn from the side street.
It could be that the loop detector that detects the car on that travel lane could be specifically for one approach and not leaving enough room to detect for the other approach. Typically that happens for right turns. With video detection, you're allowed to create zones that you can capture the through or that left that wants to move along with the right turn. So it won't be dependent on one approach in order to make the other approach, if that makes any sense.
Thank you. All right, thank you for your wonderful presentation. We appreciate it, even though I'm not thrilled with the results of the paving. Okay, so let's go on to Corinne Bell. Corinne Bell is the Ventura County Agricultural Commissioner, and today she will be speaking to us about the usage and the role the county plays in regulating pesticides in Santa Rosa Valley, in addition to information about the quarantine.
Yes, so good evening. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you for inviting us to speak here tonight. We're actually having, two very important topics that could probably take up lots of time individually, but we'll try to be brief, and we're always open and available to answer more questions. So if you guys feel that you need a follow-up, you're not satisfied with what we provide tonight, we can always come back and revisit this topic, because I know both issues can be very important and critical to folks. So I'd like to introduce Andy Calderwood. He's our pesticide use enforcement deputy for our department, and he's going to do the pesticide portion, and then I will follow up with the Queensland portion.
Thank you, Corinne. So are you going to advance slides?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so what I've come to talk about, I guess we've been tasked with having us explain our role in pesticide use enforcement. And
Just before you go, sorry. I had been pushing to get a list of the pesticides that were used in the valley. And I got those. That's where this started from. And I got that list. really scary. Like, who monitors these farmers, and what are in these pesticides? And just for me to look at one pesticide from a farmer, a grower here, I was going on so many different websites, and I'm like, look, I can't even do this on one of these guys. Like, how does it work? Who's watching out for us? How does it work with the spraying? And I'll leave you alone. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so that's essentially what I came to do. So this slide just kind of goes over our basic program in pesticide use enforcement. As some people might not know, the Ag Commissioner is the local agency tasked with enforcing pesticide use. We enforce almost all pesticide use, and that includes not just farms, but urban as well. So we have the permitting process, and that's for the use of restricted materials, which is a subset of pesticides. We have pre-application site evaluations, which we do, which is part of that permit process. We do field fumigation inspections. So that's, you know, when you see those fields covered with tarps, that's what's going on there. They're either about to or have already injected pesticide fumigant into the soil. And we inspect those applications. We inspect other kinds of pesticide applications. So when you see a spray rig driving along, or a landscaper walking by the road, we do those inspections as well. We do field worker safety inspections. I'll go over these in a little bit of detail in just a moment. And that's where we inspect crews of workers in fields that have been treated recently with pesticides to make sure that the employer is meeting his obligations there. We inspect commodity fumigation, so some commodities, after they are harvested, they need to be fumigated to meet quarantine requirements for export. And so we monitor and inspect those as well. And then we also do pesticide residue monitoring. Actually, the state does the monitoring, and then we do follow-ups when illegal residues are found on pesticides. So let's start with the first slide here. So, you know, as you were telling me a moment ago, we use a lot of pesticides in Ventura County and in California in general, in part because of the great diversity of crops we grow here. We use a great diversity of pesticides to deal with all the different pest pressures that come up from that. And so a small subset of pesticides are identified as restricted materials. And this list comes from an old list of toxic herbicides and evolved into this current list, which we call restricted materials. And these are materials which are identified by the state of California as needing extra oversight. And so we provide that oversight through this permitting process. And so people who want to use these materials, which would be the fumigants that you see used in strawberry and berry fields prior to planting those. They're also widely used in chiles, tomatoes, a lot of the crops that are going to be in the ground for a while. They use fumigants for a variety of purposes, for ground pathogens, for weed control, that sort of thing. Some crops don't use fumigants at all. Celery, they don't. Cilantro, most of the orchard crops do not fumigate prior to planting. Anyway, there are then additional restrictive materials which are sprayed on. They're using one commonly on cabbage because of a diamondback moth that's plaguing cruciferous crops. So, like I said, we have greater oversight on these restricted materials than we do on most pesticides. A lot of people think, you know, when somebody's spraying a pesticide in the field, we have advance notice of that and know all about it. And the truth is, most pesticides are not restricted material, and we don't know about it before it's applied. People applying pesticides in the agricultural setting, and people applying pesticides for hire, so professional pest control companies, including like landscapers who use pesticides. Those people have to report pesticides, and so we get reports of pesticides after the fact. But the only ones we get advance notice of are this subset, the restricted materials.
I'm sorry, but how do you monitor them? Like, how do you, is it like a trust? Like you just, because I saw this list,
yeah,
and they're self-reporting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how does that work? How are they like, are there people checking up on them, or how does
Yeah,
that work?
that's us.
Oh, okay, got it, okay. That's
Yeah, so we have a whole program of inspections, and I can talk about it right now if you'd like, or we got a slide maybe two in advance where I talk about the inspection program, but that's part of what we do. Yeah, keeping people honest is one of our core functions. So anyway, we have this permit process which involves growers who want to use these restricted materials coming to us. They have to identify where they're going to use them. So through our permit system, you know, we have kind of an elaborate map of every place in the county people are using pesticides. And that's updated as, you know, farms change, people acquire new property, farms change hands, that sort of thing. We're constantly developing, building, and editing that database of where farms are, what fields, you know, the farmers have identified. And so we've got that, that database that we work from, okay? And an important part of the permitting process is that before they apply one of these pesticides, they have to give us a notice of intent to apply a restricted material. And so we get many of those every year, and we evaluate them all. We get several thousand of them every year. And every single one is evaluated to make sure that the application is consistent with the label, consistent with regulations, consistent with any permit conditions that are issued. And so, why don't you go to the next slide here. So, you know, the restricted materials that are used locally that are of greatest concern are fumigants. You know, fumigants, when applied, go into the air, right? They're gases. And so there are just a small handful that are used, but one of the key tools we have is we go out and we do what are called pre-evaluation inspections prior to the use of restricted materials. And so we'll go out to the field and we'll check to see if the soil quality is adequate. You know, if we go to a field that's going to have fumigant injected into it, that's what's called a flat fume, we need to make sure that it's not full of big dirt clods that would allow the fumigant to come up between the spaces between the dirt clods and emerge from the soil. That's called chimneying. And so we look for soil quality, kind of a bad tarp. It's maybe been damaged by animals or something, sometimes equipment, sometimes, you know, a coyote or something runs across a field and puts a bunch of footprints in a tarp. And so then we would detect that, and we would tell them that we have to deny that application because the field is not suitable for the intended application. So we do a lot of these. We're required to do one of these pre-application inspections for 5% of the restricted material notices of intent that we get, and we do about 12% typically in any year, so we do more than twice what's required by the state. And in the other ones that we don't do this field visit, we still carefully evaluate those NOIs, so it's done in the office with our permit files and the notices of intent that are given us, maps, all of those things. So anyway, that's the permit process. We also do field fumigation inspections, and we can go to the next slide. This was really geared toward another group. We do a lot of these. This is just a standard pesticide monitoring inspection. So our inspectors, we have a staff of about 10 people devoted to pesticide use enforcement. And those inspectors, one of the things they do is they'll just hop in their vehicle and drive around areas where pesticides might be applied, and they prowl essentially, and then we will have them stop whenever they find an application.
What is this requirement? 36 inspections. What is that?
That's actually there are 36 requirements on this inspection form. That's what's meant by that. It's not the best language, but it's essentially a checklist of 36 things that we look at for that particular type of inspection. That's what that means. Yeah, you don't need to look at the text. It's not it's not that vital, but so we do something like 800 of these a year. It kind of depends on, you know, what's going on, how many staff we have, but something in the neighborhood of 800 is a typical number for a year. When you compare that to the oversight that like OSHA gives to the industries it regulates, in some industries, they report that they do 50 inspections in the state in a year. And we do 800 application inspections in Ventura County every year. So we're very active in the field. We, like I say, we prowl every corner. People come up Santa Rosa Valley. We go up into Simi and Moore Park and Somas and Ojai and, you know, North County occasionally. Every place pesticides might be used. And so it's important to note that these are surprise inspections. Nobody knows we're coming. We pop in. You know, I train staff to be very, I guess, crafty about how they approach this, to make sure that they can get in quickly and find out what personal protection was being worn at the time we arrived and not what they put on later after they saw us coming up the road. So staff is trained to do a good job of trying to intercept that application in a state that would be most like how they're applying pesticides were we not around, right? So that's our goal, is to try to get a snapshot of what was going on before they saw an inspector come. And so I think we do a good job of that. Let's go to the next.
I just
yeah.
wanted to point out there is some important verbiage on this slide, and that 90% compliance rate is definitely worth noting.
Okay, yeah, we do find you know, pretty good compliant, and you know that we have 36 requirements that we look at for every single inspection. So if they fail one of those, that would count as being a non-compliant inspection. So you know, what we see in the field is pretty good, but we certainly find violations, and we take enforcement action. And I'll go over that in just a second. We have a vigorous enforcement program. So another important element of our program, as I mentioned, is an inspection we do, which is called a field worker safety inspection. And so there are special obligations that employers have of people who are working in a field that has been treated recently with pesticides, which means about in the last 30 days. So for crops like strawberries, they're frequently treated with pesticides. So almost every crew you see working in strawberries is probably in what we call a treated field. It's been treated with pesticides sometime in the last month. With all of these extra sprays that people have to do to meet the requirements for the Asian citrus psyllid, right? That new quarantine pest that carries Wong Nong Bing. Now, lemon orchards are often treated fields, whereas they weren't prior. So in recent years, we've been really making a push to intercept these crews that are harvesting lemons and doing the field worker safety inspections there. And we've inspected in the last couple of years many new farm labor contractors, growers who we've never done this inspection on before, just because their fields were so rarely treated with pesticides that we almost never encountered a technical treated field for which these rules apply. Does that make sense? So now with more pesticide applications on lemons, we have intercepted and dealt with a bunch of people who simply didn't know these rules because they had never been inspected by us before. So anyway, we've made a focused effort on concentrating on those areas where we knew we'd find a lot more field workers working in treated fields in citrus. So, you know, we're looking for things like that field workers working in that situation have to be trained in a formal way. Certain topics have to be covered, a record of that training has to be kept, and so they have to be able to present that record to us. They have to be trained in a manner they can understand. So one of the things we found, we have a new employee in the last few years who's a Mixteco speaker. She's from Oaxaca, and she's fluent in Mixteco, Spanish, and English. And she's really good in all three of those languages, and she's been a great boon to us because we can take her in the field and she can interview Mixteco workers in their own language and find out if they really have been treated in a manner they can understand. And we've been finding that a lot of them have been given training, but they haven't been able to follow it because they're not fluent Spanish speakers. So that's been a great help for us. And then because she is Spanish fluent as well, our non-Spanish speaking inspectors can also take her along to assist in inspections in general, because most of the people we encounter in the field will be speakers of Spanish first. Sometimes Spanish and English, but a lot of times Spanish and not much English. So about half of our staff are fluent in Spanish. Okay, next one there. We can skip over this. This is not really of interest probably to you guys, but it's another thing that we inspect. Another thing that you might be interested in, as I mentioned, the state, Department of Pesticide Regulation, inspects, I think it's about 3,000 to 5,000 lots of produce to look for pesticide residues. This map kind of shows you where what countries have the most, let's see, the most, when they do these inspections, the country of origin is mostly the United States, and then it's color coded on how many, what am I trying to say, how many examples of this we find, how many samples come from each group of countries, so Mexico and Canada give us a lot of other stuff, Peru quite a bit, and then on Chile, a lot of off-season fruit comes from Chile, so if you want to eat a plum in January, it's probably coming from Chile. And then there are some countries, we get very little from like Europe and that sort of thing. So that's all that map is showing. It's something to look at while I talk about the residue business. So something like I said, like 3,000 to 5,000 lots of produce are sampled by the state, and what they do is it's called a full screen. They might go to a farmer's market and collect a bunch of lemons or avocados or strawberries or whatever they're going for, and then they test that and see, of the 480 pesticides they're testing for, if any of those have a residue on that crop. And then for, let's say it's legal to use pesticide A on lemons, and what that means is that studies have been done to establish a tolerance for that pesticide on lemons, right? So what that means is if you have a lemon, it cannot have more than a certain amount of that pesticide on it, or it's got an over-tolerance. It's got a residue that's over-tolerance. Now, if you apply a pesticide onto a commodity for which it's not allowed, then, and we detect any of it on that commodity, then that would be a no tolerance established, and that would be an illegal residue as well. And all of this is governed by the label. So a pesticide label will tell the applicator in detail what crops that can be used on and what it cannot be used on. And so what happens then is if that illegal residue is found to have come from our county, and there are all kinds of labeling requirements that allow you to trace back to the origin of that commodity, then that's given to us, and that's another kind of function we perform, is to do an investigation and find out why that residue occurred. Sometimes we find that they applied something onto a commodity they were not allowed to. Sometimes we find that they applied and then harvested too close to the application date. Sometimes we find that what's called a plant back restriction was violated. So a pesticide is applied to a field, and then it's harvested, tilled, and another crop is planted. But that first pesticide that was applied to the initial crop had what's called a plant back restriction. It said, don't plant any of these crops within 300 days of the application of this pesticide, because it can be taken up in the soil and then be a residue in those crops, and it would then be an illegal residue. So we found examples of all these kinds of things responsible for some of these residues. We don't get a lot of these currently. I think we had one this year, something like that, maybe 1 or 2 last year. And we were able to get to the bottom of all the ones we've gotten recently. I think we maybe, yeah, sure.
I just had 2 questions for you. Do you folks know how many of the growers are organic versus non-organic in Santa Rosa Valley? And the second question is, I know that there are landowners that lease out their properties to different growers. And I'm not going to name any names, but like there's a huge growing facility that came up that was, how are they monitored? I doubt anybody's calling you up and say, hey, I just want to let
doesn't really have a reason to not tell us he's growing in a particular place. There just isn't any motivation.
No, I understand
to
that, but like, what if there's like a nefarious grower, right? Okay, so like, how would you know that they're there? Because I have seen different things, which it doesn't look so great, right?
We don't always. I mean, one of the ways is our surveillance. Like I say, we drive down the road and do unannounced spot inspections.
Got it.
And sometimes we'll drive along and, you know, this happens mostly with kind of very small flower growers, nursery guys. Sometimes there'll be I think over in Somas there are a couple of these kind of big complexes of greenhouses and fields, and they're leased out to maybe a dozen or more small timers.
Yes.
You know, people kind of trying to enter
Exactly what I'm talking about.
entry level farming, right? And maybe get a few acres they can work on and try to make a commercial venture of it. A lot of times we don't know about those in advance. They don't know anything about regulations. You know, if they do, like I say, there isn't really motivation for them not to tell us about it. You know, it's not
I
like.
think there's probably a lot of motivation for them not to tell you about it.
Well, what would that be?
Well, what are they using? Like maybe they're using
I don't know. I mean,
things they're not
there are
supposed to
plenty of
use.
legal pesticides. I don't know why they would be motivated to use an illegal pesticide. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what motivation there is.
But I
for
don't think
people.
it's a good idea to leave it to chance.
Well, then what could we do otherwise?
Well, like for instance, I walk every night on a certain loop, and I see these growers come up, and obviously I'm nosy and I'm concerned, right? Should I call and say, hey, there's some new growers, can you guys maybe someday go out there and check them out? I guess that's just what I want to ask.
You can
absolutely.
absolutely
I mean-
call and any kind of complaint we receive, we investigate.
Yeah, and it's not a complaint, it's just I just want to know.
That's what I mean. If somebody calls and says, there's a grower next to me, I'm not sure we would like be motivated to investigate that. That's not wrongdoing, right?
I understand what you're saying. If you
I
have.
pick up the bags of the pesticides that they use, okay?
Well,
I
don't
find- No, well,
Don't do
not
that.
with gloves.
Yeah.
And I take them, right? So, and I look and see what they're using.
Yeah.
So, and some of it's not so great. So I'm probably,
Well, yeah, so I wouldn't be picking up the bags.
Yes.
But, no, honestly, if you do have any concerns.
Okay.
Call our office.
okay, cool, that's all I want.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
great.
if you see something that for some reason you're suspicious of, you think it's shady, yeah, you can call us. We can, I mean, if you can, you know, like you're on a phone and you're in front of a piece of property, like I said, we have this all mapped in GIS, and so
Got it.
it's very easy. We could get you while you're on the phone, look up the permit layer, zoom into the part you're telling us about, and we can tell you who we have as the grower there. And
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, it's easy, and
What about the
essentially
organic-
all of our permit information, all of the pesticide use information, that's all public. Anybody can get any of that, as you did in a
Thank you.
query earlier. You wanted to know who's farming and what are they applying in the Santa Rosa Valley. You defined what area you're interested in, and we sent that to you. Anybody can do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
So,
a
and
transparent
your first
system.
question about how many organic growers versus conventional growers in the Santa Rosa Valley, we don't have that information tonight, but we can certainly get that.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
I mean, in any one area, I would say it's a small subset that are the organic growers. You know, most people are farming what's called conventional farming, not adhering to the organic regulations. What's our next? Do we have another slide? So,
No, I just wanted to end this portion. I'm sure if you, like I said, if you guys have questions and want us to come back and do another more thorough presentation.
This is great.
or if you have a question right now, I'm right here.
I think they want to move us
Well, I think,
along.
yeah, but it was, seriously, thank you so very much. I feel even better just knowing that I can go and ask just who to go to.
Well, and just, if it makes anyone feel better, we were told by the Department of Pesticide Regulation, which oversees all of the pesticide regulation in California, that we have the most robust enforcement program in the state. So we're safer here than conceivably anywhere else in the world, because California has a unique system. Every other state has a state agricultural program. We have the county system, which is unique to California. So if California always does things bigger and better, right? And so if we are the most robust enforcement program in the state, you're safer here than you are anywhere else. And so I don't know if that helps ease some
Kind of,
concerns, but it is something we're very proud of, and that we worked hard to get to.
Only Los Angeles and San Diego County issue more fines for pesticide use than we do.
Right.
And most of those are like, urban setting, landscapers. We might issue more agricultural setting fines than anybody. Corinne's not crazy about me saying that to growers, but we have a very earnest enforcement program.
So moving on to our next topic tonight is one of the reasons, unfortunately, why we have to use pesticides is to control pests. So Supervisor Gorell gave a great introduction on this insect. So it is very unique. It is the first time a quarantine's ever been established in North America. Lucky us, it's in Ventura County, right? Just to give a little background on this pest year, California normally intercepts about 75 fruit flies per year. This year we're over 760 detections. So this is a crazy anomaly year for fruit flies, and there's quarantines all over the state. And so it's very concerning because California is also one of the, well, actually, another great statistic, Ventura County is one of the top 5 exporters in the world. So what's getting California nervous is that if we get overrun with these fruit flies, we could lose our fruit fly free status, which would dramatically impact our ability to export to other countries. So the state's very concerned about this, and of course we are keeping our eye on this guy here, and we'll talk a little bit more about him. So it's, as Supervisor Gorell mentioned, it's one of the most serious agricultural pests in Australia, and it was detected in Thousand Oaks. We are now up to 3 flies, and so the, see what the next slide is.
Corinne.
Yes.
Can you go back just a second? I don't want people to get confused. Yeah. No.
I went back too far.
I'm pretty sure the name is Tryoni with a Tryoni.
All right, well, it's correctly spelled.
In case they look it up.
No.
No, it's not correct.
Tryoni? I think, yeah, you're right, there is a T.
Tryoni, yeah, there's an R.
Only you would have noticed that tonight. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so this is what the insect does. So it will lay its eggs in the fruit, and these are maggots, lovely, and the maggots will hatch and emerge from the fruit, and it destroys the fruit. So fruit flies multiply very rapidly, so this could easily destroy crops very quickly if they get a hold in an orchard or a field. So it's a fruit fly, and so it has a huge host list. It's over 177 different hosts, including everything we grow in Ventura County. So all of our top 10, like our strawberries, our raspberries, our blueberries, our blackberries, our citrus, our avocados. Although, interestingly enough, this host list, this is, as I mentioned, a very unique insect, and so we're learning more about it. They've now found that Hass avocados, as long as they are on the tree, are no longer considered a host. But all the other varieties, the thin-skinned varieties mainly, those are still considered hosts. So, but it is a concern because it will impact everything we grow here in Ventura County. So this is a map of the current fruit fly quarantine, and this map was established before the third fly was found. So unfortunately, the third fly was found about a mile northwest of the original finds, and so that map is going to increase into the Moore Park area. So it's, again, this third find was just very recent, and so this new quarantine map hasn't even been published yet. So we're waiting to see what that will look like and how much of our, from this map, it really did not involve a lot of growers, but now that it's increased, we have over 100 farmers who will be impacted by this quarantine. Oops, that way. So what happens in the quarantine? So you have from each detection, you have a 250-meter radius where they're doing treatments, and they're putting out traps. And so these traps have And it's really kind of cool technology. The traps have a lure that's designed to specifically attract, it's got a male pheromone in it, and it's designed to attract the male species of the fruit fly. So it won't attract your bees or your butterflies or any other non-target. It's very specifically geared towards fruit flies. And then the fly will enter the trap, and there's an insecticide inside the trap that will kill the male flies. And so this is done in the 250 meter radius from each detection. And then any host material and fruit will be removed from the site. And then any kind of host material is treated with an organic pesticide called spinosad. So if you're a grower in the quarantine area, you're going to have to undergo some rigorous protocols. And it's this quarantine, unlike some quarantines like what's going on in Santa Paula area, the Long Long Bing quarantine, that's going to be here to stay. These quarantines can come and go, and we're very hopeful that we can, if we eradicate this pest, we can, the quarantine will end. Currently, it's projected to end around mid-June. And what it is, it lasts for 3 life cycles of the insect. So in the summertime, the insect life cycle is much more rapid. And at first I thought, oh good, we're going into winter, it's cold, it'll kill off these bugs. No, all it does is really slow down the life cycle of the insect, so it makes that time period longer. So if you're a grower in the quarantine area, you'll be required to do these treatments weekly. And so I did bring a prop. Andy, do you have my little measuring cup there?
Oh, yeah.
So for those of you who don't think in ounces, I don't. I did a little measuring cup of the top is the top of the pink. So what the treatment is, this is how much of one chemical they use per acre. So they dilute this in water, and they'll go through, and this is a grid of, let's pretend this was an orchard. So they'll hit every tree on the perimeter, and then they'll do trees within. And what it is I thought this was pretty cool. I thought it was just like a broadcast spray, but it's not. It's actually what they're trying to do is they're trying to create a little mini bait station on the tree. So they'll do like literally just a squirt of it on the trunk, and then it attracts the insect to the tree, and the insect dies. So it is kind of cool how science is helping reduce the use of pesticides. Otherwise, you'd be using a lot more than just this, 1 of these per acre. So there are 2 treatments available. One is the malathion, and one is spinosad, which is an organic formulation. And we are working with the USDA to get more tools available, because currently there's really only 2 products that people can use. And with, as I mentioned, with all the fruit fly quarantines going on all over the state, the demand is going to outpace the supply, and so that's a concern that we have. We want to give our farmers all the tools they can, because this is a pretty rigorous treatment schedule, and it's, believe it or not, no one likes to use pesticides, and so this is unfortunate news for everyone, because it's very expensive, and they wouldn't necessarily need this much if we weren't dealing with this very serious pest. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I have flyers that I want to put in the back for anyone to take home and identify the insect and look for signs. And
I have a question. Here in Santa Rosa Valley, we have a very large number of backyard orchards.
Correct.
And those people many of them are not dealt with by any sort of professional farmers.
Correct.
What kind of outreach are you doing to those kinds of people?
So we're trying outreach, to everyone. Supervisor Burrell's office hosted a press conference on when the first fly was detected, and to really get resident cooperation, because these finds, as mentioned, are been in residential neighborhoods. They're not finding these on commercial farms. Commercial farms are having to deal with the consequences of it, but they're not actually finding them on commercial farms yet. So our outreach has really been targeted towards the residents because this has been going on in residential neighborhoods. Fruit flies don't fly from other countries. They're moved through human activity. And so this is, and it can be very innocent. It could be, someone takes a peach in the airport and they put it in their bag and they forget to eat it, and they get home and they eat it and there's a maggot in it, they throw it in the trash, and that's how these kinds of things happen. So it is movement through, they've shown that during COVID in 2020, we had very few fruit fly finds. And ever since travel has increased, so have the fruit fly finds. And again, this year is an anomaly year. We've never had over 760. I think the maximum we've ever had is 500 fruit flies in a given year. But the average is 75. So this is a very strange year. But anyway, sorry, I'm rambling about your question. So our outreach has been towards residents at this point to get them to cooperate with the CDFA officials and in the eradication efforts. But we will also be, now that this quarantine has moved into agricultural areas, including Santa Rosa Valley, we will be hosting a grower meeting on Tuesday at the Government Center to talk about what these treatment protocols are going to look like. And so we're going to continue the outreach and try to get the word out. And like I said, I have flyers that I'm going to put in the back. We need everyone's help because we can't have our $2.1 billion industry destroyed because of these pests. And so everyone needs to do their part. The farmers, they're doing their part. And so now it's the residents' turn to help with this effort. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
You mentioned they found 3 flies. You're talking about actually 3 individual flies?
3 individual flies.
Okay, the next question I have is?
I don't know that. I don't think they do, but I don't know that. Andy's shaking his head. He's kind of an insect guy. He would.
Yeah, it belongs to this genus Bactrocera, which is found throughout Australasia and Southeast Asia. And there are some complexes of in the Oriental fruit fly complex where they don't know where the species lines are. But this is not anything that could possibly breed with anything that is currently in California. There are a few places where the Oriental fruit fly, which is that same genus, is found, and the I'm thinking the olive fruit fly.
The towel is related.
No, the olive one that's been here for 15 years. I'm not sure if that's a Bactrocera or not. Anyway, that's a completely different species. There wouldn't be any interbreeding between them. So, no, this is a new species. Sorry, this is a new species, a distinct species from anything that has ever been reported in North America.
So we all need to do our part in getting rid of it.
Yes. You had a question?
As a homeowner that has fruit trees and different things, is malathion available to us? Is it restricted?
So, the good news is if you're a homeowner, CDFA will take care of the treatments. Okay. If you're a commercial grower, though, you're doing it on your own. So yeah, and the homeowners, I'm sorry, not to interrupt you, but in the residential neighborhoods, they're only using the spinosad, which is the organic formulation, not the malathion.
So we contact your office to do that?
Absolutely, or CDFA, or we're working in tandem.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Yes.
I just think you could. Some more outreach would be great. I am in the quarantine zone and have backyard trees, and just happened to stumble upon an article about this and have not heard a peep about it. And so I know most probably backyard growers have no clue about this. So I don't know if you need to do social media, more press, whatever it is, but I think very few people are aware of this. Probably.
Well, absolutely. And the press conference, when we did it, it was still only in Thousand Oaks. And now with this new fly, it's now reached Santa Rosa Valley. So you're right. We have much more work to do in outreach in this area. And before we were just kind of focusing on where it was a couple weeks ago, but it's changing. Hopefully it won't change anymore, but
Now that we know about it, I'll be putting it on the Santa Rosa Valley Valley Voice on Facebook as well as Nextdoor. I don't know if you guys are all on that.
Yeah, but you might also consider sending out some kind of a flyer or card to everybody who lives in Santa Rosa Valley.
we are planning to do that.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. and that grower meeting, anyone who is a commercial grower is gonna, invited to that meeting.
I'm less worried about them. Because
Right, well, true.
that's their job and they follow up.
Exactly.
On people who have, home fruit, they don't think about it.
Correct, and as a commercial grower is defined by having 26 trees. So if you have 25 or less, you're not a commercial grower. So my understanding is at least that CDFA will take care of those situations. But if you're over that threshold, then you're a commercial grower and you're doing it yourself.
A lot of people here have more than 26 trees.
Yeah, you might be considered a
Is
commercial
it
grower.
one type of tree
So-
or one type
So
of tree?
no, it would be host fruit, host material, but unfortunately it's a fruit fly. So it's all your citrus, avocados.
Yeah.
Well, depending on the variety now. So
So how would you know if your tree was infected with this fly? Are there some symptoms you?
So it would be in the fruit at this point. You just be examining the fruit, look for holes in the fruit. You can cut open your fruit if you see any kind of maggots, or if you have any concerns, you can always, we're not recommending moving fruit. That's another really important part. Normally, if you had a bug or a disease on your tree and you wanted us to identify it, we say, okay, bring it to our office. In this case, we're saying, please don't. Call us and we'll come out to you because we really don't want to move this around. That's really critical. The CDFA has a slogan, don't pack a pest, and what that really means is don't move potential host material around because that's how it gets spread.
So residents can, if they have a tree that they see looks, say a orange tree that looks kind of diseased, they could bring that to your office? And
Normally, yes, but in this case, we
No.
kind of, because we're in quarantine mode right now,
Yeah.
we're saying call us and we'll come out.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I realized somebody brought that little fly from Australia, probably in an orange or something that they brought over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay.
All right.
Thank you
very
so
much.
much. I
That's
know
great.
our
Thank
time
you.
is limited here.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna go ahead and make a little change in our schedule. I know that Megan Schaefer has been here for a while, as well as Cindy Beck, who is going to be speaking on the Stepping Stone program. So I'd like you to go ahead and okay, is Megan Schaefer here? Now, this is an update on the Stepping Stones program. And Megan will be providing us an overview of the program and an update on the contract situation with the county.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for having me tonight. This is our second visit here, so we were here a year ago. And I'll reintroduce myself and our program. We are looking to have a contract over at the Hill Canyon facility and bring our lesson program there. So a little bit about me. We started Stepping Stones 12 years ago, and I am a co-founder along with Nancy McChesney, and have lived in the Conejo Valley for 25 years, grew up in Orange County, have a lot of varied certifications and whatnot with the horses, and have been passionate volunteer and inspiring the kids to do the same. So our goal is to make the horses and equestrian activities accessible to as many people as possible. We're trying to keep it accessible and affordable. We are a registered 501c3 and have a lot of volunteers. The only staff is myself to do riding lessons, and we have people that come in during weekdays to do mucking and cleaning so the horses have continuity of care. We were at the Conejo Valley YMCA for 8 years. When they permanently closed, we needed to move, and we found a location off Blanchard, close to Cindy Beck's. And we've been there for 3 years. The property owners have extended their lease for 2 more years, but we are looking for a more permanent location to be. Our program model is a little different than other riding programs in that the full care of the horses is left up to the children and the participants. So they are feeding and mucking, administering medications. We do all disciplines, so the kids have experience doing gymkhanas, dressage, endurance riding, anything you can think of with horses, we try to give them that opportunity. And we also do hippology, which is the knowledge of horses, so the kids and the participants have to be well-rounded. So they are not just coming and getting on a horse and riding, they have to know breeds, colors, diseases, names of different parts of tack, etc. So our kids have gone on to do judging teams nationally. We just had the #1 team in the nation. They competed last month in Tulsa, so we're pretty proud of that. And our kids have served on youth Arabian horse boards. I've had 6 different kids do that, and they've been hired by our local equine hospital as well, because they are very competent horse people and have a lot of background knowledge. And we've done collaborations with Casa Pacifica, Homes, Many Mansions, and of course the YMCA. So the benefits I see to having us moving into the Hill Canyon is we're such a good fit. So I believe that property was developed with the horse park 10 years ago, and I think it would be really fitting to expand the use of it. It's a beautiful facility that's possibly underutilized, and we'd love to increase the use of it and encourage more of the residents to come there. So I'd love to have more horse shows, more events, clinics, and things that we can help offer them. And if I'm there, it's a lot easier for me to facilitate those kinds of events. At the moment, I believe we're the only organization that's still holding horse shows there. I've been doing it for 8 years there, both as Stepping Stones and the Arabian Horse Association of the San Fernando Valley. So we usually have 2 shows a year at Hill Canyon. And I'd love to also be part of maintaining the trails. I ran down there last month, and there's a trail that's got like a little drop off into the ravine, and when I came back it says horse bypass, so the horses didn't have to go there. So I thought, oh, I'll run that and see what it's like, and it was completely overgrown. And then when I got to where the trail is supposed to reconnect, there was a tree down and there is 0 way a horse could go there. So I'm happy to work on things like that because it would be a benefit for my program, and I also think for the community, if we are out there on the trails, we can do some of that cleanup and maintenance as well. Go ahead now. So for a quick status update on where we are, the MAC gave support for our program and the recommendation to the county last November. And we have met with Coulter Chisholm, who's the county parks director, several times. And we met with him last at the beginning of September and submitted the final details for a contract. And 2 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, on the 31st, he gave me an update via email saying that the contract draft is in with the legal review, and after that we would be able to see something with that. Some of the questions that I've heard just randomly from people, concerns, were, what if somebody wants to go right over and use the arena? Is that a problem with us being there? And I think the facility is quite large and definitely large enough to share. I have no problem using one arena or the other, or if both arenas happen to be full of residents, I can use the trails. So I don't see that problem at all, and I'm happy to share this space. My lessons usually have 4 to 6 riders in them, and when we do horse shows, there's up to 20 people per class, so there is absolutely room for all of us. Why are we moving? Well, the property owners where we're at have extended our lease 2 years. However, they do want to build their home on the property. So although we are able to stay now, we need to find a more permanent location so that we can better serve the community. And then everybody's asking, where are we going to be located? So when you first drive over the bridge into Hill Canyon, if you look on the right-hand side, you see a round pen, and just beyond that is some open space. That's where we would be based. So our barns and corrals would be on that side, the north side of the arena, on the other side of the trees. So it would not be visible for people using the arena or events of the arena. They would not see the barns and whatnot. Are there any questions or comments?
You know, maybe, I don't know, Card in, so I'll speak for Cindy Beck, if that's okay.
Yes.
So, I'm Charlie Beck. I'm a resident here, have been for almost 10 years now. My 2 daughters live here, my 3 grandsons also. The 3 of them go to this school. Megan's facility, Stepping Stones, is immediately south of our home, off of Blanchard. And I have known Megan and her program for almost 30 years now.
Megan, for sure. The
Yeah.
program for 20, for sure.
So, I have a unique perspective about her program and her. So, I wanted to share that. You know, at first, you know, we were worried about, well, we weren't worried, but we were wondering what it would be like having our house so close to her facility, because there is some extra traffic. All that would be mitigated in Hill Canyon because they have plenty of parking and much more control. But I have to say, she is the best neighbor. The best neighbor. And I watch her, I mean, I ride my bike by there 4 times a week, and I ride over to Hill Canyon and see how underutilized the facility is for horses. And she is out there constantly. She's working with the kids. She is, you know, my grandkids occasionally go there, although they're knucklehead young guys, so they don't have the gene quite yet, but obviously my daughters and my wife do. So we see what she does, and I see the care that she puts into the kids. I see how much care they put into the horses. You know, as a father of 2 now grown daughters that love horses, I have seen the positive impact that that's had on their lives and the way they think about things. And I just know that that's what Megan instills in the kids that she works with. So I think that what I think is such a great opportunity here is that Hill Canyon could give a better home to Stepping Stones, could allow it to grow, could get more kids involved, and just be a catalyst for positive efforts and change in Santa Rosa Valley. So I think it's a really good opportunity for Megan, but I think it's an even bigger opportunity for us, for the people that live in Santa Rosa Valley. It's a great program. She's a great person, and you know, spent a lot of time in my professional career is evaluating people and what they do, and Megan's a good person, and you can depend on her. And I just wanted to make sure that you knew what we thought of what Mrs. Beck thinks. And so thank you.
I think we all agree that Stepping Stones would be a great addition to Santa Rosa Park. And as you already have the support of the MAC, I don't know what more we can do for you, but if there is anything, just let us know.
Okay, thank you for your time tonight.
Yeah, the only thing I would just, I know that Supervisor Burrell's staff have been working to try and get parks to get that contract through, and I realize government works at a fairly glacial pace, although maybe that's not the right word when you're, now we're in climate change, but anyway. So I would just ask them again to kind of follow up with the Parks Department and see what's happening, and we'd love to, you know, we've been waiting a year to see that come through, and we're very excited to have you guys in the park now.
Thank you so much.
I did have one
for everything you
question.
do.
So,
Yes, go ahead.
is Stepping Stone basically open to any kids who want to attend, or only certain kids of disadvantaged backgrounds, or?
Any kids.
Any kids. So a family in Santa Rosa Valley who has kids could say, hey, would you like to take riding lessons?
Yes, we are actually almost at capacity all the time.
Uh-huh.
So I am limited on being able to add. Somebody moves away or, soccer takes over or something else takes over, then I can add, but at the moment we're really full, which is a blessing, but I'd love to be able to serve more.
But you could
Yes.
accept more if it moved to the park.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I will just say to those of you here, it is a 501c3, so if you're looking for an end of the year tax deduction, Stepping Stones needs the money to keep going.
Thank you for that plug. Giving Tuesday's coming up.
There you go.
Hi, I'm Nancy McChesney. I'm the other person who helped Megan found this organization. Just a couple more remarks I wanted you to know. As we say, it's open to all children. Horses are very expensive to keep. I'm sure most people around here would know that. And she is our only paid employee and not paid nearly what she's worth. Everybody else is volunteer. And so all of the people who come to us, who bring their children to us for lessons, just feel that way about the program, that they want to constantly help out. So between Megan and her skills and her talent with the young children and all the volunteers, we've been around since 2012. And we started out with 4 or 5 horses. We now have usually up to about 14 horses. And the people come and join us. They really, really love the program. And we try to keep it as very affordable as possible. It's the best bargain for horseback riding lessons you'll ever find anywhere around here.
Thank you. Okay. Our time is at the end with our custodian. So what I'm going to propose is that we look at the calendar, and I don't see any issues with it, approve it, and then close.
Motion to approve the calendar for 2024 as is in this package. In fact, I've already put it in my phone book.
Oh, great.
My calendar.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Done.
I do have a question. You guys have brought up before about changing the time. Is that something you're still interested in, or the calendar's set and that's fine?
You know what, honestly, if we, I don't, especially with the custodian situation, I don't think it'd be smart for us to change it
That's
later.
not a great idea, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because now we lose an hour of time.
Right. Amy did. Okay, all in favor? We said aye. And I would like to thank all of you for joining us this evening. And we are going to table the rest.
And we'll go home.
We're going to table, if you could, Israel, do you need a motion in order to table everything else?
That'd be fine. Yeah.
Okay. Who would like to give a motion to table the rest of the items on this agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Who would like to second it?
I'll second it.
Michael seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'm going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you so very much for joining us. And for those of you at home, thank you for joining us.